There is no yesterday. There is no tomorrow. There is no yesterday.
Good afternoon, students, and welcome to another SOS tutorial, this time about poetry, elements of poetry. Okay, so I'll try to make it easier for you. So today we're talking about elements of poetry: form, sound devices, imagery, mood, tone, and theme. Okay, so poetry is not the same as prose, which means fiction, written stories. And in fact, poetry is often much shorter and it has a certain form. And we call the sentence of a piece of poetry, we call it a line. When it's a collection of sentences, like a paragraph, of words and sentences that are related to each other, we call it a stanza. So line is like the individual sentence, and a stanza is the paragraph, which makes for a meaningful whole. So we also make use of sounds like assonance, rhyme, repetition, even rhythm. Remember the syllable song and the syllable clapping hands exercise? Count the syllables. Well, poems use that device also. Okay, figurative language. Figurative language just means language that you should not take literally. Like Mr. Marcel is a giant. I'm not really a giant because giants are fiction. They're not real. But people can call me a giant if they think I'm very tall. So, imagery. I can smell the sweet, bitter scent of my freshly brewed coffee, and I can feel the gentle breeze tickling my skin. All of that, it talks to the senses, it talks to your eyes, it talks to your nose, it talks to your mouth, it talks to your ears, and it talks to your skin. We call that imagery. You can like almost taste it, almost feel it, almost hear it, see it in front of you, like a movie or a game. Could you make a poem about the game? I think you could. Sure you could. You can make a poem about anything. Okay, and the language that is used, be it figurative and imagery or not, is supposed to tell a message or a story or feelings of the author. Or maybe you feel something in the poem that the author didn't even know, didn't even think of. It's also possible. Or thoughts, just some idea that you're struggling with, like logarithmic functions. Okay, maybe not that. But does every poem have all of those things? No. Most poems have rhythm. Most poems have rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. But not all poems have rhyme. Some poems have a shape. Okay, now, how to analyze a poem? Well, we're not data analysts, so we analyze in a different way. You try to understand all the words that you don't know. You can find them in the dictionary. But which meaning? Yeah, you have to figure that out. You have to be a little bit creative and a little bit brave, because many words have many different meanings, and you should figure out which one applies most. Maybe more than one applies, right? So what information does the title give you? And annotate just means you try to make comments about it, so you better understand it, or like a commentary. Okay, and the theme, well, could be a dark gothic poem, or it could be a love poem, or it could be a funny poem, like a limerick. Okay, so the form and the structure. Well, the point is there is no one structure. You cannot say that is the structure of a poem. It can have many types of forms. It can even look like a real thing. It can have a shape, like a rainbow poem can show the shape of a rainbow, right? So let's see here. What is the purpose of the first stanza of The Highwayman? The wind was a torrent of darkness. Ooh, I like it, dark poems. Among the gusty trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor. And the highwayman came riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. Wow. Okay. So that sets the scene. They say, yeah. What kind of scene? It is all a bit dark and spooky. So it could be the scene for, you know, some kind of a Halloween Shocktober creepy story, right? You didn't think of poems like that, did you? Maybe you did. Okay, so stanza. Oh, yeah, I forgot stanzas. Stanzas are like the paragraphs, right? It has like a one whole idea. In many poems, the stanzas are separated with a white line, an empty line, so it's easy to identify them. But sometimes they are not, and you have to figure it out by yourself. Ain't life difficult? Yes. Sound devices. What is sound devices doesn't mean that you go to your computer settings and you click, do you want a Realtek audio speaker? Sound devices means what kind of language tricks do we use to make the sorry, to make the reader or listener aware of something or feel something. Rhythm, rhyme, alliteration, consonants, assonance, onomatopoeia, and repetition. Okay, let's continue with rhythm. Rhythm. Okay, well, that's just beatboxing. That's not the rhythm in a poem, right? But it reminds you, most people use clap, you know, for indicating the rhythm, because it's easier, because not everybody can beatbox, right? And also beatboxing is confusing. Well, never mind, forget about it. So the pattern of beats or stresses. What does it mean, stressed and not stress? Means the word that you say loudly, that you want people to really know. It doesn't only have to be a word, it can also be a syllable. She was a child and I was a child. Right? She was a child and I was a child in this kingdom by the sea. But we laughed with a laugh that was more than laugh. I and my animal leaf. Okay, so that sounds like a song, right? In a tavern, some drunk sailor singing about his lost love. Maybe. Okay, rhyme. That is the thing you learn since kindergarten. I'm gonna shoot you if you don't know what rhyme is. No, I'm just kidding. Repetition of the same sound, usually at the end. Be careful, and be careful also for any kind of test that we might have, because it might come back. Because a rhyme can be at the end, it can be at the middle, and it can be at the beginning. So they don't always have to be at the end, okay? It can be within a line, so be careful. But just usually it's very clear if it says end, that means end, like end rhyme, or rhyme, then it's at the end of the line. You can call it sentence because most lines in poems are sentences, but not always. Okay, so done rhymes with sun. Let's see the rhyme scheme. Oh, this is a very important part. Okay, we always write, or I mean poets or people who discuss poetry, they write it in capital letters because they don't have a lot of imagination. Well, for poems, yes, but no, it's just easier to understand. So what it means is each letter means a word that has the same kind of rhyme. And if you encounter a new word that doesn't rhyme with the ones that came before, then it gets a new letter. So Mary had a little lamb. That is the A. And then its fleece is white as snow. Snow doesn't rhyme with lamb, so it's a new rhyme that we get to the next letter. So that we give it the B. And everywhere that Mary went, I didn't see went before. If went rhymed with line number 1, it would have been an A. If it rhymed with snow, it would have gotten a B. But it doesn't rhyme with either of those words. So we have to give it a C because we have not yet encountered a word that rhymes with went. And then we go to the last line. The lamb was sure to go. Go rhymes with snow. That means we have our first rhyming word pair, right? So that means A, B, C, B. Because this one, the B, rhymes with that one. So we give them the same letter. And this one gets an A because it was the first line in the poem. That's how you do it. This is how we do it. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, sorry, just to keep you awake, okay? Because it's going to be a long video. No, just kidding. So if the poem does not have a rhyme scheme, it is considered to be free verse. Because poets like to be free. They hate rules and they hate the system and they hate society. No, they're not anarchists. But some poets don't like to listen to the rules. So if you're that kind of person who doesn't like following the rules, maybe poetry is your thing, right? No, that's another joke. Or maybe it's not. Alliteration, double L. Alliteration just means it's a very, very fancy word for fancy people who just like to say that they want to use the same letter. Maybe because the letter is stuck in the keyboard and it keeps typing the same letter. I don't know. But they they find it interesting. 7 silver swans swam silently seaward. It just this one doesn't show how powerful actually alliteration is because the emotion is not very strong in here. If you have an emotional, do you remember the speech of Martin Luther King? If not, read it and watch it on YouTube. He uses a lot of figures of speech and they're very powerful because he has a strong message. He just doesn't want to write a funny poem. No, he has a poetic message that has actually an underlying political message that is very strong and emotional. And you will know then what the power of language is. Not from Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. And actually, isn't it supposed to be Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers? But never mind. The devil is in the details, they say, right? But anyway, let's continue. So you get alliteration, consonants. It just means repeating the same kind of sound, but not vowels. Vowels are A, E, O, U, I. If it means repetition of the vowel sound, it means assonance. Consonants mean, yeah, it's in the word, right? Consonants, consonant letters B, C, D, F, G. Okay, so pitter patter, pitter patter. They don't make a lot of sound. You can make a cool beatbox song with it, with consonants. Okay, Sid, hey, there's the little cousin. Or he doesn't want to be called little cousin, he wants to be called big cousin. Assonance. And the repetition of vowel sounds. See, into the ink, filled jar, inserted. Yeah, you get it, right? Here's the word that gets spelled wrong many times, but that's okay because English is hard. It's learning. It takes a long time to learn certain things. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. It's a weird word, probably because I think it's derived from Greek language, ancient Greek maybe. So that's why it doesn't sound very English, does it? But English has a lot of words that don't sound like typical English. Onomatopoeia are words that just do you remember the comic strips from long ago? Maybe not because you're not that old like me. Where they write like pow, boom, crash, clang, slash. When the superheroes are fighting, those are actually onomatopoeias. Like here, crash, boom, bang, zip. Can also be sounds of animals like meow. Okay, I'm not a good cat imitator. And don't go, oh, cute, cute, kitty, kitty, kitty. No, focus on the presentation, focus on the video. You can daydream about kitty cats after the video, okay? I didn't waste my time to make this video. Okay, repetition. Repetition is what you really hate, when you always have to do the same job again and again and again and again until you feel like a robot or somebody who is grinding in Minecraft. Oh, anyways, you love Minecraft and you love repetition in Minecraft, so maybe you do love repetition. Good, in poetry you have a repetition too. The repeating of a particular sound device to create an effect. It sometimes just means repeat the same words. You don't have to. Well, why do you repeat the same words? Like when Martin Luther King, it's not a poem, but I try to keep, making references to it because it's such a wonderful use of language. When Martin Luther King says, "I have a dream that one day," I'm not good in memorizing speeches, so but. Yeah, that one day a child from this state and a black child from this state can go to the same school as a white child from that state, and so forth. And he says that phrase, "I have a dream," he says it many times. Why? Because people will never ever ever forget it anymore. That's why everybody knows "I have a dream." Whenever somebody says "I have a dream," they instantly go Martin Luther King. It's almost like they've been brainwashed. "I have a dream," Martin Luther King. "I have a dream," Martin Luther King. Okay. Imagery. What is the core of this word? Image. Image, it depicts something, an image in your brain, yes, deep inside your brain, behind your eyes, not in the real world because you're just looking at a bunch of letters. Inside your brain, in your imagination, if you have any, after all that mindless browsing on the internet. You can paint a picture, a movie of the poem that you read, or smell it. Well, it better not be about disgusting things like puke or farts. So or dead bodies or something. So it better be about apple pie and what else smells good? Flowers, right? And potpourri, if you even know what that is. But it can mean all the senses, even including touch, right? Back he spurred like a madman, shouting curses to the sky, with the white road smoking behind him. Yeah, this is not a very. I tried one in the beginning. That's about like the bittersweet smell of coffee. Well, it's not always sweet, but if it is, coffee with milk or sugar, it is. So I think that's an easier example, right? And the gentle breeze touching your skin, yeah, that's imagery. Okay, figurative language. What does that mean, figurative? Do you like figure skating, or you know what figures are? They're just shapes, right? But what it actually means is figurative means not literally, but it creates figures in your mind by comparing to things that are not always directly related. It's not always the same. When you use a metaphor like your processor unit, but I mean your brain, I mean, I'm using a metaphor, right? It's not literally a computer inside your head, under your skull, right? It is a biological thing. a brain. But we can compare it with a computer because it can do many of the same things, like calculating and you know, making up sentences and figuring stuff out. Computers can do that too. So we like to compare with computers. And maybe now you like to compare with, you know, compare with modern things like with apps or with Minecraft or with virtual reality, right? You can use that as a metaphor, maybe for consciousness. Wait, there's a heavy word. Consciousness. One more time. Consciousness. Okay. So people love metaphors because you know, sometimes the little thing that doesn't make any sense, or sometimes something is too difficult to understand directly. So you use metaphors to kind of try to understand it. Consciousness, consciousness. Okay. And don't laugh at the last word. Okay. A comparison using like or as, not double S. Okay. Simile. That's what it's called. It is as white as snow, or he looked as pale as a zombie, or um, she was as beautiful as a mayflower, or he was as dangerous as a shark. But sharks are not that dangerous, actually. I shouldn't have said that. Too many sharks are being killed already, so humans are the dangerous ones. But never mind, that's a discussion for a different time. I'm not going to discuss this one because this is just, it's not gibberish, but it doesn't make any sense. So she says, she's as famous as a movie star, or she's as eloquent as a poet, or he can run as fast as the wind, or he's as strong as a bull, right? Metaphor again. Do you guys know even the WWF heroes who now suddenly turn into Hollywood actors like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, right, and John Cena, and they sometimes they also have metaphor names like The Rock. Is he really a rock? No, rocks cannot talk, and he certainly cannot smash people through windows, right? So that's a metaphor. And they have many, like the Undertaker. Oh wait, that doesn't sound cool. The Undertaker, right? So yeah, people love. It's not really an Undertaker. Undertaker is somebody who organizes funerals, or at least something related to that, right? So it just tries to create a relationship with something else to make a point. It's like in case of the Undertaker, I mean, he's so dangerous as a fighter that it might be your funeral if you fight him, right? It just sounds cool. The moon was a ghostly galleon. Of course, the moon is not the galleon. The moon is like a very big piece of rock flying in space, tossed upon cloudy seas, but not flying in space. It's like being trapped forever to be the little companion of Earth, his big sister. It's kind of sad, actually. You can never get a holiday. The moon never gets any holiday. So if you complain, I only get 2 holidays a year. Well, think about the moon. It never gets any holiday. You always have to go round and round and round and round and round and round. Oh my goodness me, so much. What does this have to do with poetry? Everything and nothing. So it must be in between. Personification. That's in the fables, right? When all the animals come alive. But what I mean here is that you give human characteristics to something that is not human. And I don't mean that you create a cyborg or something, or a robot that looks like a human. That is just something for science fiction movies, or something that can happen really soon. And it's really scary because they're going to take over the world and destroy all the humans. Okay, but maybe that's only another 10 days, so don't worry about it. It's still far away in the future. Okay. It's like the wind was singing in the sky and through the trees, and the river was mourning the glacier it sprang from, and sadly made its way toward its demise. The sea. Well, okay, just made that up, but it's certainly based on something. I'm surely not original, but you get the meaning, right? Things that are not alive and that they're not human, but we just give them something human. Illusion. Oh, that's one of my favorite ones, but it's very hard to explain. When you say something that the language it looks like from something else, like for example the Bible, or you say something in a way that a famous person speaks, like wait. If for example Hulk always likes to say Hulk smash, Hulk smash, Hulk smash. And I like to make an allusion to that, but because I find Hulk so cool. I might say because I'm so frustrated that my laptop's not working. I say computer smash, computer smash. So I'm not actually quoting. I'm not talking. I'm not. I mean, I don't want to really talk directly about the Hulk, but I just want to create that image and that people somehow remind, oh, that sounds familiar. And that then you get the relationship, and relationships are beautiful things, but also complicated. So when somebody reads the text, it makes you somehow think about superheroes, maybe. But the famous example, again, Martin Luther King's speech, there are some parts where he speaks about, and I should have gotten the quote, but there are some parts in it which sound like language from the Bible, but he doesn't say like Matthew chapter 4, verse 3, but actually he just uses language that is almost the same as the Bible, but it's not exactly the same. So why would he do that? Because he doesn't want to actually mention the Bible, because he wants to create a new image. But at the same time, he wants to use biblical language. Why? Because many of his followers, the people who follow him, are Christians. So that kind of language they are familiar with. So to them, that sounds like holy language, inspiring language, God-like language. Okay, well, nobody knows how God speaks. God maybe doesn't even speak, but so we don't need to talk about God, but you get the point, right? So it refers to something or someone or kind of language that is famous or that is well known, but you do it a little bit in not literally, not exactly, otherwise it's called a quote. If you take the whole text from somewhere else and you put that in your speech or in your poem, then it's a quote. Okay, so I don't know any better way to explain it, but that's my take. Okay, right. So in the Highwayman images, create a picture of Tim. Which figures are used to describe his eyes and his hair? His eyes were hollows of madness, his hair like moldy hay. Well, hay is kind of rough and messy, right? It's not a beautiful. It's not a beautiful thing to see. Well, to some people, it is. And then the hollows of madness. Well, his eyes were maybe deep in his socket and maybe had a really, really crazy, dangerous expression, right? But anyways, it's not sweet. The warm, bitter smell of coffee, right? Imagery. Metaphor, hollows of madness. The eyes are not mad. There's no madness in eyes. Eyes are just eyes. They're biological objects. They're organs, right? That's why it's a metaphor. Moldy hay. Like moldy hay. See the word like? That's why it's a simile. Okay, we're almost there. Which similes? Which similes? I guess I need more coffee. Which figures are used to describe the following? My love is like a rose. Not my love is a rose. If it's my love is a rose, it's a metaphor. Our love bloomed in the garden. Love doesn't bloom because plants bloom. It's like love is a human thing, so it's personification. The rose tipped its hat as we passed by. Roses don't tip their hats. They don't have hats like we have hats. It's a totally a different thing, right? It doesn't even have a brain, probably. I'm not sure if they can feel. Do you think they can feel something? Some people think they do feel something, but that's another discussion for another time. The mood or tone, the feelings the author's word choices give the poem. This is always a difficult thing because there's no simple formula. You cannot say 4 + 3 = 6. Oh, does it? Oh, wait, it equals 7, right? Well, never mind. Or like, for example, what is the past tense of wait? Oh, it's waited. This is difficult stuff. So you have to use your language creativity, which is different from your normal analytics, right? Am I still making any sense? No, maybe you also need a coffee then, or a good night's sleep, or maybe poetry is just not for you. No, I'm just kidding. Poetry is for everybody. You just need patience and commitment. Okay, so sorry about the mood. The only other sounds, the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. Okay. So what kind of feeling does this stanza evoke? See, stanza, line, and stanza, the paragraph. So it creates, but there's not always one right answer. That's why it's difficult. You can have a different opinion. What does it make you feel? In me, it creates an image of emptiness, an empty place. Dark. Lovely is something positive. So somebody likes to be in the dark, deep woods. The author likes to be. Maybe he likes to retreat. Maybe he doesn't like the hustle and bustle of the city and all the busy bee noises, people arguing and traffic and stuff, and just only the sounds of the wind. And downy flake could be snowflakes, but I don't think they make any sound. So, but you can use it like as a figure of speech. It doesn't have to make but the only thing that you have around you is just pure nature, nothing else. No human distractions, no noise. Maybe that the author likes to retreat from the, you know, the violent world of noises and busy people and responsibilities and demands, right? Theme, it is the central or main idea. To identify a theme, you need to ask what ideas or insights about life or human nature you have found in the poem. Well, not all poems have, you know, that kind of theme. There's one that I want to find. I haven't found. Okay. Ooh, I think that one, yes. This is the one. It's not easy to understand Shakespeare, so just bear with me, okay? Even for me, it sounds kind of arrogant. I'm sorry. So when I do count the clock that tells the time and see the brave day sunk in hideous night, when I behold the violet past prime and sable curls all silvered over with white, when lofty trees I see barren of leaves, which earth from heat did canopy the herd, and summer's green all girded up in sheaves, born on the briar with white and bristly beard. Then of thy beauty do I question make, that thou among the wastes of time must go, since sweets and beauties do themselves forsake, and die as fast as they see others grow, and nothing gainst time's scythe can make defense. Is it scythe or scythe? Safe breed to brave him when he takes the hands. Sorry about the anticlimax, but I just suddenly wondered, is it Sith or Scythe? I will Google that. But I really did, this one tells you about how time eventually catches up with everyone, because eventually everything leads to the grave, right? We know this life is only temporary and everything gets destroyed. And not only us, but even mountains. And I mean, even the planet will one day cease to exist. Maybe even the universe, right? But it's a long time, but eventually time will catch up. Everything in this world is temporary. So you have better make good use of it, because you never know when the hourglass is finished and when the clock is going to stop ticking. So it's a gloomy message, but it's one that is important, right? Because we have to know, not just waste the time, because someday it might be over. All right, so that is the theme of this poem. And oh, I was going to find out how. See, this is also another lesson for you, how to pronounce. How does he know that I would? How did he know that I was going to type that? Oh my goodness, this is scary. Google knows too much. It can read my mind. That's all you need to do if you don't know how to pronounce something. Many people, including some teachers, they don't check this, so they think they know how to pronounce something, but they don't, because it's not an easy language, English. Okay, let's play it.
Scythe.
Oh, scythe. Okay. See, there's one of two options. Scythe. All right. Okay. And this concludes our very short, no, not so very short tutorial about figures of speech. Okay. And this is Marcel van Delft checking out. See you later, guys.